A golden October morning deep in the Smoky Mountains of Tennessee, where the mist hugs the pines and a little girl's heart hears a call that changes everything. Hey y'all, welcome to a story that'll wrap you up like a cozy blanket by the fire. Meet Ellie Harper, a spunky 7-year-old from Willow Creek, who ventures into the wild and finds herself nose to nose with a trapped German shepherd and his loyal pack. What unfolds is a tale of grit, love, and a bond that shakes up her sleepy mountain town for good. Picture the crisp air, the rustle of leaves, and a courage that feels like home. This is Southern spirit at its finest. If you're ready for a heartwarming ride through the hills that'll leave you believing in the power of kindness, hit that subscribe button and join our family. Let's step into Ellie's world together. You won't want to miss a minute of this Smoky Mountain magic. It was a golden October morning in Willow Creek, Tennessee, when the stillness of dawn broke with a sound that rooted 7-year-old Ellie Harper to the spot. The Smoky Mountains loomed beyond her family's cedar cabin, their mist-wreathed peaks exhaling a soft fog that curled through the ancient pines like a living breath. A cry, sharp, urgent, and alive, cut through the haze, halting Ellie mid-step as she clutched a handful of daisies she'd picked for her mom's grave. Her hazel eyes, framed by a messy chestnut braid, widened as she tilted her head, listening. She wasn't supposed to be here, wandering past the garden's edge into the woods her grandpa Joe had warned her about, where shadows danced and the air thrummed with untold stories. But that sound, raw with need, tugged at her heart like a melody she'd always known. Ellie's sneakers crunched over fallen leaves as she crept forward, her faded denim jacket catching on a thorn bush. She pushed through, her breath puffing in the chilly air, until she peeked past a tangle of ivy near Bear Hollow Ridge. There, tangled in a rusted snare, lay a German shepherd, its black and tan coat matted with mud, a streak of blood staining its flank. 4 other dogs, lean and watchful, circled him, their amber eyes glinting with protective fire as they locked onto Ellie. Most kids might have bolted, but Ellie, small and steady, saw something in the trapped dog's gaze, a quiet plea, a flicker of trust that felt like a hand reaching out across the wild. In that tender moment, as sunlight spilled through the trees, Ellie made a choice that would tie her life to the untamed spirit of Smoky Hollow Woods and ripple through her little town forever. The Smoky Hollow Woods stretched across Carter County like a patchwork quilt of legend, its dense forests and hidden clearings a haven where deer darted and hawks soared. Willow Creek, nestled at its edge, was a cozy hamlet of clapboard homes and winding gravel lanes, where folks swapped tales over sweet tea at Mabel's Diner or gathered at the feed store on Saturday mornings. The woods fed the town, loggers trimmed its borders, hunters brought home game, but its deeper reaches stayed wild, stirring pride and a whisper of unease. Stories of strange sightings, shapes in the fog, barks that sounded like songs, kept kids near home and fueled fireside chats. Ellie lived in a weathered cabin on the wood's fringe, its porch creaking but warm with love, shared with Grandpa Joe Harper. 3 years back, her world had shattered when her parents, park rangers who patrolled Smoky Hollow, vanished in a flash flood on Raven's Pass. Their truck was found twisted in a ravine, but their bodies never recovered, leaving Ellie with Joe, a wiry man with gray hair and hands rough from years of carpentry and tending strays. Now 7, Ellie carried a gentle spirit and eyes too deep for her age, often drifting near the woods despite Joe's gruff warnings, drawn by a pull she couldn't name. Ellie had always been different. Sparrows perched on her windowsill, pecking at crumbs she left. Rabbits nibbled clover at her feet without fear. Once, a fox lingered by the porch, watching her with soft eyes. "That girl's got the woods in her veins," folks at the diner would say, half grinning, half worried. The whispers grew after Mayor Bill Grayson, a broad man with a loud laugh and a knack for stirring folks up, declared the local dogs a menace. A rash of missing chickens and a calf gone from Turner's farm had folks on edge. "Those mutts only understand one thing," Bill had roared at the town hall, slamming his fist. "We protect our own." The crowd cheered, fear finding a voice in his bluster. Joe, sitting quiet with Ellie's hand in his, felt a chill. He'd slipped out early, sensing trouble for the wild he'd always loved. That morning, as frost glittered on the grass, Ellie stood at her window, watching mist rise from the trees like ghosts waking up. It was the anniversary of her parents' loss, a day that always stirred an ache in her chest. "Breakfast, Ellie girl," Joe called, his voice warm but weathered. She lingered, feeling a tug she couldn't shake, then joined him for biscuits with honey. "I wanna take flowers to Mama and Papa's spot," she said, tracing her fork in the crumbs. Joe frowned, his lined face softening. "You know Bill's rules, darlin'. No woods trips, not with this dog fuss." He brushed her braid back. "I've got lumber to haul today. Stay close, all right?" Ellie nodded, her hazel eyes promising what her heart didn't mean. Joe studied her, then grabbed his toolbox and headed out, the screen door thumping shut. Ellie waited, counting 10 slow minutes like her papa had taught her, 60 seconds each, steady as a heartbeat, then slipped outside, daisies clutched tight, their yellow hearts trembling in her grip. The woods loomed past the fence, calling her like an old friend. "Just quick," she whispered, stepping into the wild where town rules faded and nature's song took over. Ellie knew the path to her parents' memorial, a quiet glade near Raven's Pass where fern swayed and a cairn of stones marked their memory. She'd stack pebbles there, whisper to the wind, and feel them close. The trees thickened as she went, sunlight dappling the earth, birds trilling overhead, a chickadee's chirp, a raven's call. Then, near Bear Hollow, a new sound stopped her, a metallic clank, a pained yelp. Her daisies slipped from her hand, scattering like sunlight, as she turned deeper into Smoky Hollow than she'd ever gone alone. Joe's warnings clashed with her papa's voice in her mind. "Help what needs help in, Ellie. That's what's right." The ground grew rough, rocks jutting, roots snagging her laces, but the cries sharpened, laced with growls that prickled her skin. She should have turned back, every tale, every rule screamed it. But her heart, small yet fierce, pulled her on, drawn by a call she couldn't resist. Rounding a mossy boulder, she saw him, a German shepherd, noble and strong, his coat streaked with blood from a snare on his leg. 4 others circled, fierce and wary, their eyes pinning her with a low rumble. Her breath caught, but the trapped dog's gaze held her, a silent cry, a trust that anchored her to the spot. "You're hurt," she whispered, stepping forward, her voice quivering but sure. Ellie stood at the glade's edge, her 7-year-old frame a fragile speck against the towering dogs and ancient oaks. The trapped shepherd's coat shimmered in the morning light, blood pooling around his snared leg, his amber eyes burning with pain and strength. 4 companions surrounded him, their bodies taut with fury, their stares slicing through Ellie with an intensity that might have scared a grown-up. The lean one with a notched ear bared her teeth, hackles up, while the others paced, growls humming in the earth. Fear tickled Ellie's spine, her hands clutching her jacket, but her papa's words rang true, respect what's wild. Ellie, and it'll respect you. She took a shaky step, the pack's tension flaring, their snarls a chorus. I can help, she said softly, recalling how her papa had once freed a fox from a trap, cold metal he'd called wrong and mean. The notched-ear dog lunged half a step, teeth flashing, but the trapped shepherd's low sound, part growl, part plea, stilled her, a calm rippling through them. Ellie dropped to her knees, making herself small, her heart pounding as she edged closer, her hazel eyes flickering between the dogs and the snare. The air buzzed with danger, the packs pacing a dance of distrust and hope around their fallen leader. At 10 feet, their stares were sharp, at 8, their wild scent, earthy and raw, mixed with blood's copper tang. I won't hurt you, she murmured, her breath misting. At 6 feet, she saw the snare's cruel bite, meant for rabbits, now tearing his leg. 5 feet, his breathing quickened, eyes locked on hers with a depth that stole her breath. 4 feet. She spotted the release, rusted but familiar from her papa's lessons. 3 feet, her fingers trembled near the metal, the pack's growls fading to a hush. I'm not scared, she whispered, a little lie to steady herself, and with a breath drawn from the wood's soul. She pressed the catch. The snare resisted, its spring too strong for her small hands. She pushed harder, and the shepherd flinched, a sharp yelp sparking a rumble from the pack. Sorry, Ellie whimpered, tears welling as she wiped her nose on her sleeve. She braced her sneaker against a stone, recalling her papa's trick, use the earth's strength, Ellie. With a grunt, she leaned in, pressing the latch while pushing against the ground. For a moment, nothing, then, with a harsh snap, the jaws sprang open. The shepherd yanked his leg free, blood dripping as he stumbled, then stood, trembling but proud. Ellie scooted back, sneakers slipping on moss, as 2 dogs surged to his side, licking his wound with care, while 2 stood between her and him. Eyes cautious but calm. The notched-ear dog nuzzled him gently, and Ellie watched, awe washing over her fear. Her hands fumbled in her pocket, pulling out a tin of Grandpa Joe's salve, bee balm and pine sap. A remedy he swore heals most hurts. It'll help, she said, her voice steadier, opening the tin to reveal the earthy paste. The dogs froze, ears twitching, but the shepherd limped toward her. Step by halting step, his dignity unbroken. At 6 feet, he stopped, sniffing the offering, his warm breath brushing her palm. Then, with a grace defying his pain, he lay down, stretching his wounded leg toward her. Ellie's heart swelled, her fingers shaking as she dabbed the salve onto the torn flesh. He tensed, a low whine escaping, but held still. His amber eyes watching with trust that felt like a gift. Might sting, she murmured, tearing her blue scarf, knit by Joe last winter, into a strip, wrapping it gently around his leg. Rest it, she instructed, serious as if he'd nod. He rose, testing the bandage, and met her gaze, a look like a promise sealed in silence. The pack melted into the trees, their forms vanishing with a grace that left Ellie breathless, alone with the sprung snare and blood-stained earth. The walk home was heavy, her legs dragging under the weight of what she'd done and the rules she'd broken. The woods, once a warm embrace, now whispered warnings, twigs snapping, wind rustling, heightening her unease. The sun was high when she reached the cabin yard, Grandpa Joe on the porch, his gray hair glinting, his face a mix of worry and relief. "Ellie Mae Harper, where you been?" he called, voice sharp but arms pulling her into a hug that smelled of sawdust and home. The story spilled out, the dog, the snare, the rescue, her words tumbling like leaves in a gust. Joe's eyes darkened, darting to the woods. "Inside, quick," he ordered, locking the door with a firmness Ellie rarely saw. The cabin felt small, shadows stretching as Joe checked the windows, his hands trembling slightly. "What did you do, darlin'?" Joe asked, sinking into his rocker, voice low, the rifle leaning nearby, a relic from his hunting days. Before Ellie could answer, a knock rattled the door. Joe peered out, then opened it to Sheriff Dan Carter, hat in hand, flanked by Mayor Bill Grayson and his daughter, Lily, a wiry 10-year-old with freckles and a curious grin. "Afternoon, Joe," Dan said, nodding. "Need a word?" Bill's gaze pinned Ellie, her muddy sneakers and missing scarf evidence enough. "Been in the woods, little lady?" "Near Bear Hollow," he boomed. Ellie's stomach flipped. How'd he know? Joe stepped forward. "What's this about, Bill?" Dan shifted, uneasy. "Hunter saw a girl like Ellie near his snare line this morning. Said it was sprung. Dog blood everywhere. Legal snare, Joe, permitted for the stray issue." Bill's face hardened. "Your girl's meddlin', broke town rules. Could've riled a killer." Ellie's voice piped up, small but firm. "I didn't hurt him. I saved him." Bill's scowl deepened. "That dog's been stealin' livestock, Turner's calf, Mabel's hens. They're trouble." Joe's grip tightened on Ellie's shoulder. "She's 7, Bill. Let it go." Dan nodded. "Just a warning, Joe. Keep her out. Hunts next week." Bill smirked. "Dogs don't forget meddlers. Watch her." They left, Lily glancing back with a flicker of awe. Joe shut the door, pulling Ellie close. "You're brave, Ellie girl, but wild things carry risks. Them dogs mean something to you now, don't they?" She nodded, feeling his heartbeat, and whispered, "They're like kin." That night, sleep dodged her, dreams swirling with amber eyes. At dawn, she peeked out, and there he was, the shepherd, standing at the wood's edge. Her blue scarf still on his leg, a silent sentinel. Her heart warmed, a bond forged in the wild no town could break. Dawn softened Willow Creek, the mist weaving through Smoky Hollow like a lullaby. Ellie sat on her bed, breath fogging the glass as she watched the shepherd, her shepherd, stand guard at the tree line. His coat glowed in the early light, her scarf a bright thread on his healing leg. A sign of their pact. She'd named him River for the way his fur flowed like water, a name that felt like home. Downstairs, Joe's voice called, "Breakfast, Ellie." She patted down, the scent of bacon and coffee filling the air as Joe eyed her over his mug. "You saw that dog again, didn't ya?" he asked, soft but knowing. Ellie nodded, sliding into her chair. "He's watchin' us, Grandpa." Joe sighed, his gray hair catching the light. Your papa thought them woods dogs were special, guardians of Smoky Hollow. Told me tales from his granddad's time. How the pack helped folks through hard winters, pickin' who to trust. Said they saw something in us worth savon. Ellie's hazel eyes sparkled. Like Papa? Joe's smile crinkled his face. Like him, and you, darlin'. A scratch at the door startled them. Joe grabbed the rifle, peering out, then gasped. A fresh-killed quail lay on the mat, a gift with no blood on its feathers. From your friends, he murmured, awe in his voice. All day, dogs shadowed the cabin, 4 of them, taking turns like sentries. River appeared at dawn and dusk, his legs stronger. While the others watched, Notch with her scarred ear, Swift the quick one, Ember with reddish fur, and Shade, the quiet gray. Joe softened. Talk to them from here, but don't go close. Ellie chattered to them daily, naming them with glee, her voice a bridge between worlds. By week's end, River's limp faded, and the dogs kept a respectful distance, a silent vow of protection. Word spread in Willow Creek, whispers of the dog girl. Kids teased, but Lily Grayson rode by, curious. They real? She asked from the fence. Ellie nodded, and River stepped out. Flanked by Notch and Swift. Lily paled but stayed. Pa didn't set that snare, Uncle Ray did. He's back, huntin' dogs for cash. Hunts in 3 days. Ellie's heart sank. They'll kill them all. Lily frowned. It's wrong. Pa's in it, land money. She bolted as Joe called Ellie in, spilling the plot. Ray, her papa's brother, and Bill planned to log Smoky Hollow after the hunt. Joe's face hardened. Ray blamed your papa for this land. I think he sabotaged their truck. He rummaged a trunk for his son's journals, gone. A bark pierced the air, River. Pacing, urgent. They know, Ellie whispered. Shouts echoed from town, men with rifles, early for the hunt. Joe loaded the rifle. Not again. Ellie insisted, we need Papa's journals, at the Lightning Oak. Joe nodded. I'll stall them. Take M to Dan. With her papa's compass, she slipped out back, Notch guiding her to the oak. Inside its hollow, she found a locked box, opened with her locket key, 3 journals. Proof of Ray's crimes. Men closed in, hounds baying. Notch shielded her as Ray and Bill's voices neared, chasing the pack. Lily appeared, breathless. Got Pa's report, your folks last one. They killed M. Headlights flared, Ray's truck, Joe tied inside. Ellie gave Lily the evidence. Get Dan. River and the pack emerged, fierce and noble. Grandpa's in trouble. She told them. They tracked the truck to the old mill, where Ray and Bill confessed murdering her parents for logging rights. Ellie snuck in as dogs howled, stalling them. Notch lunged at Ray. Shot midair, dying to save her as Sheriff Dan burst in, arresting the men. At dawn, Ellie mourned Notch beside River, their bond a bridge of love and loss. The journals and Lily's report exposed the truth. Halting the hunt. Smoky Hollow became a sanctuary, Ellie its heart, her dogs thriving with a new pup, proof that love endures, a legacy reborn in Tennessee's wild embrace. Ellie Harper's journey in the Smoky Hollow Woods teaches us a lesson as warm as a Tennessee sunrise. Love and bravery can cross any boundary, between a little girl and a wild German shepherd. Between a small town and the wilderness it leans on. It's a reminder that in our fast-moving lives, pausing to help, even when it's risky, can spark a change that echoes far beyond us. Ellie saw trust in River's eyes and chose compassion over fear, a choice that didn't just free a dog but stitched healing into Willow Creek. It's the kind of quiet heroism we all carry. Whether it's standing up for a friend or protecting what we love. Her story shows that the bonds we forge, with people, animals, or the land, don't break, they transform, carrying us through life's storms. So, what about you, folks? When's a time you've seen kindness or courage light up your world? Share it in the comments, I'd love to hear your tales. If Ellie and River warmed your heart, give us a like, pass this story along, and let's keep spreading that Smoky Mountain magic. What's next for Ellie? Stay tuned to find out.